Good day, everybody. Here we're on the Bible in a Year, 2021, day 83, and we're on the second day of Joshua, looking at Joshua's 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're really getting into the story now of the moving in to the promised land. Um, so here we are, verse 1, chapter 5. And we are going to start recognizing some patterns, or we should start recognizing some patterns from everything that we've been following, all the revelation that's been happening with Yahweh, going all the way from Adam, what we discovered through Job, and then Abraham, and so on. And we've progressed. We've really got a whole dump truck load of revelation from Moses in who Yahweh is, and we see here in verse 1, all the Amorite kings on the west side of the Jordan and all the Canaanite kings near the sea heard that the Lord, had dried up the water of the Jordan before the Israelites until they had crossed over. Then their hearts melted. Then their hearts melted. They lost all courage because of the Israelites. So here's the methodology, and this should have an impact on your life. Yahweh does these impossible things. He takes us through impossible situations. He provides. He demonstrates who He is. He reveals all these things to to a couple of things. In this case, his motivation here, or his purpose here, what he was trying to do, was get the nations to be afraid of Israel. He does things through us because of the new covenant that we're involved with. In his purpose of bringing everybody to him is that he reveals himself through us in impossible situations, so people can be glad and rejoice and come running after him. So if you feel that you're going through an awful lot of stuff, you need to look up. You need to look up and just look for what the Lord is doing, because this is how he does things. So in verse 8, we see something really interesting here. This is them getting everything right, getting everything into a right relationship. Okay, but this is a bold move. I'm telling you, they're on a military campaign. Okay, and what do we read? After the whole nation had undergone circumcision, they remained in the camp until they got well again. So what happened is that those coming out of Egypt were all circumcised, but the generation that was in the desert, a lot of them, those who were born and such in the desert, they didn't circumcise it in the desert. So they have this generation that's not been circumcised, and the circumcision is the sign that was given that they've entered into this covenant with Yahweh. And so they have to get things right. Everything needs to be put in its proper place as they're going into this military campaign, as they're driving out the seven nations. They have to make sure that everything is according to how Yahweh has instructed it. But do you remember back when Jacob's sons had tricked that town into circumcising themselves, and then the two sons came in and wiped everybody out? It's a weakened position. So here they've just come in, they're facing these seven nations, and they take the time to undergo circumcision. That's bold. That's putting your confidence in Yahweh, that he's going to provide some sort of shield of fire or something to protect you at this time. And we have we have to understand that nothing makes sense according to the standards of this world, with what Yahweh does. It doesn't make sense, not according to the standards of this world. It looks really foolish. Um, so and then we see here, you understand, they've now moved into the promised land, right? They're eating the food from the land. There's no more manna, so they've arrived. Okay, and now they're in no hurry. They're not. They're what they're doing is they're dotting all their I's and they're crossing all their T's. They're making sure everything is done according to the instructions of Yahweh because they're totally dependent on Him. Without Him, they're just sitting ducks. So the Israelites camped at Gilgal. They celebrated Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the month on the plains of Jericho. Yeah. You know what? This should tell us a lot of stuff here because we tend to be goal oriented. It's not so much about how we get there. It's about what we achieve. That's where we are. Quite often, that's our thinking in North America. Even it could be a Western mindset. It's not about the journey. It's about what we accomplish, and that's not what this is about. Too often we're in a rush for results instead of doing the things according to developing right relationship. The kingdom's about relationship. It's always about right relationship. So this is something that we have to keep in mind, and just stop and think about it for a moment. Quite often we can have goals and everything in our churches and our projects and man, it's just about results. It's not about relationships. In verse 12, yeah, I got ahead here, but here they've arrived. The manna stopped on that next day when they ate food produced in the land. There was no longer any manna for the Israelites. So that year they ate the crops of the land of Canaan. So, yeah, for sure, they are now here. Verse 15. Here we can only call this a Moses experience. It's one more encouragement for Joshua as he's going through this. But he has come across a messenger, not just a messenger, but this is a soldier. This is a warrior of the Lord. And the commander of the Lord's heavenly force said to Joshua, "Take your sandals off your feet, because the place where you are standing is holy." So Joshua did this. So what do you think of? Here he is. He sees this messenger and he says, "Are you for us or against us?" And he says, "Neither." I'm on the Lord's side. I belong to Him. I fight the battles He gives me to fight. Is basically what he's saying to him. But we have this moment where Moses was that burning bush. Take off your sandals, Moses. You're on holy ground. And here Joshua is before this messenger. So it's a messenger, but in a different form. And it's just take the sandals off your feet. You're on holy ground. So it's the same kind of Moses experience here. It's not the only time that's going to happen. Um, and then we have the military campaign that made no sense at all. The whole thing about Jericho. The Lord said to Joshua, "Look, I have given Jericho and its king into your power, along with its mighty warriors." And that's what he says. And then he lays out this really bizarre battle plan. And, you know, what do we say about it? What can we say about it? Not much. Uh, it's what it is. It's what the Lord says it is, and and this is what He did, and the reason He does this, okay, yeah, you can figure out the number 7 days, 7 times, all this sort of stuff, and you can look for the patterns. You're welcome to do that. Go ahead. But what I'm looking at is the way He's doing things it's an exclamation mark, like only Yahweh can do this. It's Yahweh who's doing this. It's not the size of Israel's army. It's not the strength of the warriors. It's not their experience. It's not because they have a great general, because no general would have this as their battle plan. That this is Yahweh who's doing it. So He's letting the whole world know this isn't normal. Verse 18. The thing is, there's absolute clear instruction here. This is chapter 6, verse 18. Clear instruction here. But you keep away from the things set aside for God. So they're going in, they're killing everything. It's under the ban. Everything is being killed. And the precious things, the things that can't be destroyed, the silver, the gold, that kind of stuff, that's being put into the Lord's treasure. a treasury, okay, that is set aside for him, for his purpose. Everything else is being wiped out. So he says, but you keep away from the things set aside for God, so that you don't desire and take some of the things reserved. That would turn the camp of Israel into a thing doomed to be utterly wiped out and bring calamity on it. Because remember that this is all like, if you're going to do this, if you're going to grab hold of what has been set aside for God, then you're going to grab hold of their idols. You're going to take on. So like, there's reason why he's doing this. No, you guys have to follow my instructions. You have to. I'm protecting you. I don't want you to open doors that are going to burn you. I don't want you to be destroyed by these things. And he's saying, like, if you do this, then it's going to wipe it out. It's going to, man, you're going to be useless to me, is what is being said here. It's clear instruction, right? Um, and then we have, and we'll come back to that in a second. But then we see here evidence of the word being honored, because the Lord had warned them way back. I don't know if you remember or not, but he warned them about keeping the word. Keeping the word is extremely important to Yahweh, because he keeps his word. And treachery and deceit has this thread that runs through the story of Yahweh. The number of people who have turned on him, turned their back on him, said yes they do this, and then they don't do that. He's been hurt so many times and insulted so many times. And so we see here, Joshua spoke to the two men who had scouted out the land. Go to the prostitute's house, bring out the woman from there, along with everyone related to her, exactly as you pledged to her. Exactly as you pledged to her. So, and here, there's just a thing that needs to be underlined here. Um, See, here Rahab becomes an ancestor of Jesus. This prostitute from a different nation, a nation that is supposed to be wiped out. So this is the enemy of God, and Rahab actually becomes an ancestor of Jesus. She's in his genealogy, and this is a beautiful exclamation on this, that Yahweh creates a history of using the rejected ones to achieve his goals. Yeah, the ones that we would consider are just for the dust heap. Maybe just out of kindness, we'll let them live, type of idea. But Yahweh has a way of just making them shine. Like, everybody knows Rahab, right? It's amazing stuff. And then verse 27, it's just clear as anything here, right? The Lord was with Joshua. That's obvious. And news about him spread throughout the land. So his reputation is increasing, just like Yahweh said that he would do. He's just increasing the reputation of this leader, Joshua. Now, in chapter 7, verse 1, we are reminded again that humanity is broken. Every time Yahweh comes up with perfect plans, everything is perfect. Everything that Yahweh plans is perfect. Perfect. The failures are always ours. And we see here the Israelites did a disrespectful thing concerning the items reserved for God. Achan was the son of Carmi, grandson of Zabdi, great-grandson of Zerah. He was from the tribe of Judah. He took some of the things reserved for God. So the Lord was furious with the Israelites. Yeah. It was an individual. And this is where we have difficulties in our Western mindset, because we don't really understand community. And here it was an individual that did it. One man from one clan inside one tribe. And yet all of Israel was going to pay the price for this. Because it was Israel. The Israelites did a disrespectful thing. Community. But it was really Joshua's mistake. I mean, go ahead. Yeah, there was one person who did it, but the leader was responsible here, and he didn't consult Yahweh. He just carried on. Okay, this is going to be the pattern. This is what we're going to do. Okay, he sent out a couple spies again to spy on this. They came back with the report in the natural. Well, we only need 2 or 3 thousand. You know, so Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is near Beth Aven, to the east of Bethel. He said to them, "Go up, scout out the land." But it's not about methodology. It's not, oh, because we did this last week, we're going to do it again this week. Because this worked here, we're going to try it here. And this is quite often what happens with the church, is that when one church is being blessed in a city, everybody turns around and tries to copy what they did in their own city. But that church is being anointed for that city because there are certain needs and things that need to be done in that city. Each church has to consult with the Lord and seek their own anointing, for the blessings that they have for the city amongst the people that they're in. And it's not even about culture. That okay, that it worked in that culture, but it won't work in this culture. It's not about culture. It's about seeking what the Lord wants. It's not about methodology. It's about relationship. It's about relationship. And people die. And this is on Joshua's conscience. The men of Ai struck down approximately 36 of them. They chased them from outside the gate as far as Shebarim. They struck them down on the slope, and the hearts of the people melted and turned to water. So there's a number of concerns that's going to be raised here. Nobody was supposed to die. They were not supposed to face defeat. The reputation was supposed to grow. Joshua is now going to be concerned that this defeat is going to allow or give courage to all the Canaanites now to come in circle. Because if the 7 nations band together, I mean, Israel would be wiped off the map, as simple as that. And so he's moaning and groaning to God about it, and Yahweh turns around and says, "Stop crying out to me. Get up." It's a matter of fact. He said, the Lord said to Joshua, "Get up. Why do you lie flat on your face like this? Israel has sinned." It's just a matter of fact. Israel has sinned. Now let's do something about it. They have violated my covenant, which I commanded them to keep. They have taken some of the things reserved for me and put them with their own things. They have stolen and kept it a secret. And then we have, well, here are the facts and here are the actions. The Israelites can't stand up to their enemies. That's a fact now. No, they have broken the covenant. My hand is withdrawn for the moment. They can't stand up to their enemies. You remember what happened 40 years ago when you guys tried to come back in after, I had pronounced on you because you refused to go up. I removed my hand from you, and you tried to go up anyway, and people died as a result. So, like, people are going to die as a result here. Um, they retreat before their enemies because they themselves have become a doomed thing reserved for me. So, under the ban, everybody's going to be wiped out. I will no longer be with you unless you destroy the things reserved for me that are present among you. So, that's the action to be taken. And the thing is here, look, Yahweh could have just turned around and told Joshua it was Achan. Yeah, you'll find that in this place, in his tent. They just, yeah, it was Achan. But no, he doesn't. Because he needs to make a big production out of this. He needs to make a big show out of this. He needs to have everybody's attention. He needs to make it a mystery and everybody's attention so everybody's looking in, because it's important that everybody's paying attention for this lesson. So Joshua said to Achan, "My son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel. Tell me what you have done. Don't hide anything from me." How it must have broken Joshua's heart, but he's the leader. and he's anointed, and Yahweh is telling him what to do. And this is Yahweh's justice. It's Yahweh's justice. We need to sit up and take notice. This is Yahweh's justice. Joshua said, "You have brought disaster to us. May the Lord bring disaster to you today." Then all Israel stoned him. They burned them with fire and stoned them with stones. And by them, his whole household and everything that belonged to him. That's hard. But what do you think it's going to be like on the day of judgment? What do you think that's going to be like? Yeah, that's how hard it is. So they have the reset then. In chapter 8, verse 1, there's a reset. The Lord said to Joshua, "Don't be afraid or terrified." Okay, now everything is regulated. Everything has been taken care of. It's the big reset. They hit the reset button. Don't be afraid or terrified. Take the entire army with you. Start to go up to Ai. Look, I have given the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land into your power. So again, it's Yahweh that's calling the shots, right? And it says in verse 2, "Do to Ai and its king what you did to Jericho and its king, but you may take its booty and cattle as plunder. Set your ambush behind the city." Yeah, this becomes the thing for Israel. And we read how they use this strategy many times. This whole thing about the ambush and drawing out the enemy and burning down the city so that they have no place to hide or run to. And it's directed by Yahweh. Look, in verse 18, the Lord said to Joshua, "Put the dagger in your hand toward Ai." Or point, sorry, point the dagger in your hand toward Ai, because I will give it into your power. So Joshua pointed the dagger in his hand toward the city. Now, I want you to consider that this is again a Moses moment. This is a Moses experience, a Moses move, if you want to put it that way. Joshua didn't pull back the hand that was stretched out holding a dagger until he had wiped out the whole population of Ai as something reserved for God. So remember Moses and the staff. As long as he had that staff lifted up over his head, Joshua was winning the battle. And now Joshua's in that position where he's holding out the dagger, and his army is winning the battle. But he had to hold that out there. Try to do that. I mean, pick up a water bottle or something and just hold it out in front of you, and imagine holding that out in front of you for an hour or so. I don't know how long the battle was. But it would have been longer than 5 minutes, even 5 minutes, and you'll feel the ache in your arm, man. But anyway, and then we see here the greatest penalty. Okay, this is the worst thing that you could do to a person, because this is what Yahweh put into the law. You remember that hanging somebody from a tree is means they are cursed of God. God will curse anybody who's hung from a tree, and we know that's a foreshadow of Jesus, and it's the only way the Father could curse the Son, as is him hanging from a tree. So he hanged the king of Ai on a tree until evening. At sundown, Joshua gave an order, and they took his body down from the tree. They threw it down at the opening of the city gate. Then they raised over it a great pile of stone that is still there today. And then we have the following of the instructions that were given to Moses of what the people were to do when they entered into the land. And this is what we have. Then Joshua built an altar on Mount Ebal to the Lord, the God of Israel. And it goes on. So here, this is the time. They've now conquered these major cities. They've got a breather for a moment. They're now at the location that the Lord was talking about. So they did everything that they were told to do. It's the first offering that's made, and it's made out of a natural altar. No instruments applied to it whatsoever. They do the writing of the law on the stones. They put plaster on the stones, and then they wrote the law into that. And then they did the ceremony of the blessings and cursings. These are the three things that they were to do when they came into the land. They did it. They're doing everything right. They're doing everything from the circumcision to the Passover to the first offerings to the writing of the law to the ceremony of the blessings. They're doing everything as the Lord has given them to do. It's amazing. It's amazing that so far only one person is messed up so far. Well, two, if you want to call Joshua not consulting with Yahweh, and that's going to come back to bite him again because he fails in it again. But getting ahead of myself. So thanks, guys, for joining in today, and I pray that there's lots of stuff that you're getting out of this, greater understanding of Yahweh. You guys be blessed in this day, and thank you for being on the journey.